Today is August 9th. Welcome on in to Daily Cards Live, brought to you by Royal Banks, Missouri and Munganess St. Louis Acura here on ClaibsOnline.com. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Bob Ramsey, who was suspended yesterday from the show for making disparaging comments towards Mike Claiborne. And Claibs just said enough and suspended you for not towing the company line, much like they do in Baltimore with the broadcast up there. So
It's
it was unfortunate.
trend.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but we got by it.
Yeah, it's a new trend, and that's the way it's going to be now.
Yeah, you weren't wearing the company logo on your shirt, and right. He just said enough and suspended you for a day. Didn't get quite the coverage of a Kevin Brown, but people were talking all around the St. Louis area.
That's what they're going to do.
By the way, before we get into everything, I really do love that broadcasters from all around baseball have kind of band together with this to show their support for Kevin Brown, the TV voice of the Baltimore Orioles in this, whether it's just coming flat out and saying it or making little snide comments as they go along, which I believe is the route that Chip Caray took last night. Just little ones that if you hear it and you know what they're talking about, it's fun to be part of that joke.
I didn't notice Chip's comment, but I would say in a business that is driven by gigantic egos and where individuals only really care about how it affects them personally, that it was unprecedented in the support from other play-by-play guys and talk show people.
Yeah, Chip Caray went out of his way yesterday during the broadcast to just mention, he went on to say that he believes the Orioles have won the last 270 games that they played against the Rays in Tropicana, and just wanted to make sure that record was on the record yesterday, just so he did not get in trouble with John Angelos of the Orioles. So that was, and then Brad Thompson kind of chimed into that as well. Cardinals do lose yesterday, first game of the series against the Rays. They get right back at it today with Dakota Hudson on the mound against Jalen Beeks. The Rays winning yesterday, despite, I would imagine, many in the organization kind of probably being a little down with the news of Shane McClanahan being shut down for the year, a team that got off to such a hot start. The Orioles did catch them and have passed them in the AL East. And yes, they still have a very good record and will make the playoffs, but that is a huge blow to lose their top starter.
Yeah, I'll say, and without an opportunity to replace him from outside the organization. Savali they have, he's not as good as McClanahan, but can he be serviceable for them and help them win games once a week, every fifth day for the next 6 weeks? And so, they'd like to think that'll help, but he was going to be in the rotation anyway, so they're still a man short.
And speaking of starters, last night, Miles Michaelis pitched into the 8th inning yesterday, was pitching very well, and had only thrown 80 pitches after recording the first 21 outs of the game. Ali Marmol pulled him after the leadoff triple, and Ali went on to say he kind of regrets pulling Miles Michaelis when he did. Andre Palante came in and got hit pretty hard, giving up 2 earned runs and giving up 2 more runs on the back of Michaelis in that situation. So Ali kind of looking at it and saying, okay, I could have done that a little better. I should have done that differently. Looking back on it, kind of Monday morning quarterbacking the game from last night.
Well, if it mattered, and depending on who was available, I don't know who was not available for sure, but I kind of thought that was going to be a Gallegos Romero 8th and 9th.
Yeah, and he went on to say Gallegos can't warm up that fast. It takes Gallegos 2 to 3 batters to get warmed up. So if that wasn't, if they weren't going to go to him in the 8th, that wasn't an opportunity to go to him there in that situation, and they decided to go at Palante instead. And
that's what I'm saying. I understand what they did, and I think if if it matters, and it does, the only two guys that have been effective fairly consistently are Gallegos and Romero, and JoJo's been better than anybody lately. And if they're saying can't have Gallegos ready in time, then you got to go to Romero in my book if it matters.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter. So if a guy, oh, I don't want to pitch him 3 days in a row or whatever, I understand that, and it's not a big deal.
The Cardinals will line up against Jalen Beeks looking like this. By the way, the lineups tonight brought to you by Central State Sandwiches. And tonight, the folks out at Central State Sandwiches, it is, a Wednesday night? That means they're out at Second Shift Brewing. They have the chopped cheese for you tonight, the Taco Crunch Wrap, taco beef, nacho cheese sauce, shredded lettuce, diced tomatoes, and corn chips, topped with a creamy chipotle taco sauce rolled in a flour tortilla. And they are bringing the beef out to Second Shift Brewing tonight. Beef brisket, smoked and shredded, braised in bone marrow au jus, topped with hot jardiniere on a hoagie roll, served with au jus for dipping. They are out there right now. They will be out there until 8 o'clock. So you could go out there and you could watch the entire Cardinal game out there. Last night it was over with by 7:40, 7:50 last night. It was about a 2-hour and 15-minute game last night down at Tropicana Field. The Cardinals will line up like this. Lars Nootbaar, DHs. Paul Goldschmidt at first, Nolan Arenado at third, Nolan Gorman at second. The hot-hitting Wilson Contreras is behind the plate. Jordan Walker in right, Alec Burleson in left, Dylan Carlson in center, and Tommy Edman is at short. For the Rays, Yandy Diaz leads off and plays first. Wander Franco at short. Brandon Lowe is at second. Randy Arozarena at left. Isaac Paredes is at third. Luke Raley is in right. Jose Siri is in center. Josh Lowe is DHing. And Rene Pinto is behind the plate for the Rays. I don't know much about Jalen Beeks, left-handed thrower, a 6.27 ERA on the season. So a lot of us will get our first look at him tonight on the mound for the Cardinals. We've talked about him a lot lately. Dakota Hudson, 2-0 with a 4.10 ERA since he has been called back up. And we've talked about it. He's showcasing himself for a possible spot in that 2024 roster. No, regardless of what they say, if he pitches well from here on out, he gives himself an advantage over anybody they trade for, anybody they go out and look for in free agency, if he's able to continue doing that for the final 2 months.
Well, I don't think over any of those other options, but certainly in that mix. Yeah, I think it puts him ahead of folks already in the organization, but I don't think you'd make a move for somebody to be behind Hudson. That would surprise me. When it comes to Beeks, since they're in Florida, I wonder if he's related to the Beeks that was involved with the frozen concentrated orange juice.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I know. It's a 40-year-old movie reference. Sorry.
Okay. I'm sure the audience gets it. You need to know your co-host when it comes to that, and you should.
I just threw it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Trading places with Eddie Murphy and Dan.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say you call Claibs and let him know that it's another reference. I didn't. I didn't understand.
It's okay. I really just did it for myself.
Last time out against the Twins, Dakota Hudson, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits allowed, 3 earned runs in that time. Those coming off walks and the home run that he allowed in the game. But just an outstanding performance by Dakota Hudson his last time with the Cardinals. And like I said, he was a guy that as the season continued to kind of get away from the Redbirds this year, it was one of those where I kept saying, why not? Why not? He's down there in AAA. He's had the big league experience. You're struggling with pitching. Why not? And it took the doubleheader to get him called back up here, and he's been able to keep his spot ever since. And trading away a lot of starting pitchers and pitchers in general has helped kind of keep him in the mix. So again, we will see how he does tonight. One name
before you move on, it is interesting that both he and Matz were sort of kicked to the curb, and both kind of figured it out in about the same kind of time frame. One exiled to the minors, one exiled to the bullpen, and were able to kind of battle their way back and figure it out. I don't want to discredit the organization because you don't know exactly what happened and who talked to who, but I want to give those individuals credit for not throwing in the towel.
The one name that you will not see in the Cardinal lineup tonight after, well, you just heard me read it, is Tyler O'Neill. Initially, he was in the
Yeah.
lineup. He was scratched due to an injury again. He wasn't in the lineup last night either. So 2 days in a row for Tyler O'Neill missing the start. For that, it's frustrating, as I think we all would agree that they probably are looking to move him in the offseason. You want him to be healthy. You want him to put up good numbers that he has when he's been in the lineup, but not playing, that hurts trade value.
Well, he's 28 years old. He's the oldest of all the outfielders who are all sort of, sort of in the toolbox. And yeah, it is frustrating. It's amazing in athletics that how some people can play with pain and discomfort and others can't. And knowing the difference between pain and injury is really important. But some people, and it's not a knock necessarily, some guys just can't perform when they don't feel great. And other guys, you tape them up, shoot them up, and send them back out there. You can't get them out of the lineup, no matter how bad they feel. Mm-hmm. I give those guys a little extra credit. And, I think about somebody like Mickey Mantle they said the last half of his career, he looked like a mummy before he put his uniform on, how much they had to tape him up and support this injury and that injury. And I think it can be one of the measures of greatness.
Yeah, I you know what? I feel like that some days. With just being wrapped up like that, head to toe. I don't know where I heard it yesterday, but I heard something about Albert Pujols. I guess in an interview somewhere talked about his ankle injury last year, that he somehow he doesn't know how he was able to play the second half of the year. For the life of me, I cannot remember where I heard or read that yesterday. I don't know if you heard.
I think I saw it on Twitter, and probably was for somebody's report or podcast or whatever. I don't know. I saw the same thing. And again, I'm not trying to pick on O'Neill. I mean, he is what he is. And people see it for themselves. You don't need any interpretation. But when somebody's in severe pain and finds a way to play, and over that performs at a high level, they get extra credit from me.
By the way, it was in the Cardinal yearbook. So if you go to cardinals.com/yearbook, they have an exclusive interview with Albert Pujols where he discusses the push to 700. He said it was on an ankle injury so painful. He said, I don't know how to play through it. You can find that now online at cardinals.com/yearbook, The Legend of Five, which is online right now.
Is the yearbook different from Cardinal Magazine?
I don't know.
Okay. I get Cardinal Magazine every month. And if you're a Cardinal fan and don't get Cardinal Magazine, you're missing out. It's just full of great reports and articles and information. It's really a good thing for Cardinal fans.
As I look here at this, it says you can order at MLB.com or Cardinals.com. It says you can order the 2023 Cardinal yearbook for $20. So it says right there on the website is where you can order it or send it to somebody as a gift. So that's there on the website right now on Cardinals.com on their website for that. So that's by the way, speaking of 2023 Cardinals, the Hall of Fame weekend details have been announced for that. It's next weekend, Sunday, August 20th. So they will have all weekend long. It's a big Hall of Fame weekend. If you are making plans on going down there, not only will future Hall of Famer Mason Wynn probably make his debut that weekend, Rammer, on the 19th or 20th of August, Jose Oquendo and Max Lanier will be enshrined into the Cardinals Hall of Fame on Sunday, August 20th, and Scott Rowland will be honored on Saturday, August 19th, with his Cooperstown plaque on display for fans to view prior to the games on August 19th. So all kinds of stuff going on there. And hopefully that weekend too, you know what, maybe they announce when they're going to retire Roland's number next year, because I would imagine that has to be on the calendar for next year, right?
I don't know how that works.
I the way I understand it, I mean, if he's Hall of Famer, that's how you get your number retired, and he's going into the Hall of Fame with the Cardinal logo on his hat. So you would think that 27 is going to be up there on the wall at some point.
So this year it's Oquendo and
Max Lanier, and it was David Freese too, but David Freese opted to not be honored. Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oquendo gets in for a body of work which has spent more years in the organization as a non-player than a player. And I think that's neat that he's recognized for that, especially in a time when critics like me feel like the Cardinal way has been lost, that he's maybe the last standard bearer for that. So I'm really happy for him, and a guy who's been almost a lifetime Cardinal. He came up with the Mets. And then Max Lanier is an interesting case, a terrific pitcher, but he actually jumped the Cardinals and went to the Mexican League for a while and was banned from Major League Baseball. But when that Mexican League folded, they had a soft place for him, and Major League Baseball let those guys come back in, and he had a couple of okay years after that. It's really an interesting story.
For those that also want to make plans for that weekend, here are some of the other Cardinal Hall of Famers that will be present: Ozzie Smith, Tony La Russa, Ted Simmons, Scott Rowland, Keith Hernandez, Tom Herr, Vince Coleman, John Tudor, Ray Lankford, Mark McGuire, Jim Edmonds, Jason Isringhausen, and Chris Carpenter will come back to all.
You can win a bunch of games with that group.
Yeah, you could. Absolutely, especially with those names, with La Russa managing those guys too. That'd be a fun one to put together. Rammer, we are brought to you each and every day by Munganess St. Louis Acura, and also our friends at Royal Banks.
Royal Banks, for better service means better banking. Call one of the great bankers at any of the branches in St. Louis, St. Charles, East Side, Northeast Missouri, 314-212-1500. Royal Banks of Missouri.
He's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. We will talk to you tomorrow right here on Daily Cards Live. It's ClaibsOnline.com.
Holiday out to deep right. Yes, he did it.
On Friday, August 18th, the Cardinals host the Mets, and that night, 25,000 fans aged 16 and older take home a Cardinals Hall of Fame Car Parade bobblehead thanks to Ford. Fans will be surprised at the gates when they receive one of two mystery bobbleheads. Will it be Matt Holliday or will it be Ted Simmons? Which one will you get? Find out August 18th. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/promotions.